All right. Welcome, everybody. We're doing Ticker Talk this afternoon. Glad you could join us. We're going to, let's get this disclaimer out of the way first. So everything we do here is for educational purposes only. We are not investment advisors and do not provide investment advice. All statements made are my own personal opinions, not to be considered investment advice. All trading and investment decisions are your own and done at your own risk. Okay, cool. We got that out of the way. I think everybody knows who I am. It's me, Kevin. Oh, that's odd. Oh yeah, I remember why we did that. We don't need that. That's old. We're going to get into this in a sec. But I wanted to ask you guys, and this is for anybody watching the recording as well. So if you're watching the recording, right after you go and hit the thumbs up, leave a comment on what I'm about to ask. I'm thinking about moving our Ticker Talk session to Wednesdays so that it's happening midweek, and doing just a little bit of market update, kind of like we used to, and very similar but much shorter than I do on the weekend. So we would just look at the major indices and anything that's really kind of moving through the week, anything that's really that you kind of really need to know about, going into Thursday and Friday. So I'm wondering what you guys think of that. And if you guys are watching live, you can type your answers or any thoughts you have. You can type that into the chat. And like I said, anybody who's watching the recording, you can either you can DM me in the Discord, you can shoot a message into the YouTube chat, you can throw a thumbs up in there too. Just want to get everybody's thoughts on that. Before I go and change anything. I want to make sure it's all cool with you. So I don't see anybody complaining in the chat, so maybe it's maybe that's all right. Ryan said, I'm just getting back into this. I'm fine with any time as long as things are recorded. Yeah, okay, cool. I imagine that's probably the case for most people. It's nice for me to have people here live. It's nice to have a little bit of back and forth. And by the way, Ryan, if you want to unmute yourself and talk, actually have a conversation, that's totally cool. You don't have to. You're fine to type in the chat as well, but that goes for everybody here if you want to. Okay. And you probably need to be a little discreet as well, right? Ryan just told us all he's at work, so he doesn't have a mic. Okay. So, yeah, so what we'll do is, I guess, take a really quick look at a couple of indices, because, there's things are kind of interesting on that front. As you know, we have been rallying quite nicely. I think we're starting to feel a little stretched. And let's see, that's the chart we want right there. Okay. So this is the S&P 500, or this is SPY, the ETF that tracks the S&P 500. Oh, you know what? I'm going to turn that guy off. Okay. And you can see that in the last Ticker Talk, or last couple of Ticker Talks, actually, we were talking about it coming up into this area. You can see the squiggles that I drew in here. I thought it would come right up here to this this major resistance. And a couple of areas. It's really kind of a big zone, right? We've got this major resistance at around 411, and then we've got the pivots off of this consolidation back here from the consolidation in June, beginning of June, and that pivot there. And now we're, we were consolidating a bit there. That's great. I thought that was awesome. We tried to break out of there yesterday, did fairly well, and we drew another little inside day today. So you can kind of see we're running out of steam a little bit. We're not making the moves we're making, so we when we came off the bottom here, we had, nice big move, consolidate for a few days, nice big move, consolidate for 2 days, make a move and then consolidate. So we're definitely running out of steam. That we're not totally rolling over is awesome. We're not, or at least not yet anyway. We're not instantly seeing, some of these big red bars that, that we were seeing earlier in the year, in the spring. The red bars that are in here are quite small by comparison, and this is all very well behaved. my concern is that, I mean, we have come fairly far. We are technically still in a bear market. And you know what, if we start to roll over on the inevitable pullback, if people start to panic a little bit, it could really gain momentum to the downside. So it sort of scares me when I see people in the Discord, or you know, talking about, oh, I have FOMO, I want to get in this. I think we need to be cautious here for a little bit. And you know, if we consolidate in here a little more, maybe a few more days, maybe even, you know, into the CPI report next week. If when CPI comes out, that's when we take off. I am much happier buying that than I would be buying this now. Now, that's not to say there aren't opportunities here. I'm swing trading big time. There are plenty of opportunities. There's a lot of risk on appetite in the market. You know, it's almost a little scary in how much it feels like 2020 a little bit, with people chasing things, and the meme stocks are coming back, and that sort of behavior. That won't last, you know, forever. Some people are going to get spanked on that, so just don't be one of them. You know, just be disciplined and be cautious here. Let's look at the Qs really quick. The Qs have been doing quite nicely. They had a better day today than the SPY had. You can see, you know, we broke out of this pennant to the upside. We had a little bit of a pullback. We just moved up. You know, we had that 2-day consolidation. Looking nice here, but again, you know, the momentum is slowing. So, you know, we do need to be aware of that. And we've got some resistance up here at a little bit of resistance at 330. We had a little bit of a double top. Let me draw that in. And you can see I've also got a resistance line. Actually, I want to tweak that up a little bit. Whoops. That is sort of better around 340. And we got to watch out for this 340 area as well. But I wouldn't be, you know, as much as I said, you know, we could consolidate, we're losing momentum. It wouldn't surprise me really if we started to just grind up here. Maybe, you know, tomorrow or the next day we move up, or I guess tomorrow's Friday, isn't it? Or yeah, you know, Friday or Monday, maybe move up into this 330 resistance, maybe go sideways for a day or two, and then move up from there up into the 340 level. If we just keep stair-stepping up, that's good, healthy behavior. And let's quickly look at IWM. IWM is still behaving really nicely. It's working really well in this big orange line that I drew. I think I drew that line like back over here, back at the beginning of July. And yeah, because I'm looking for a cup and handle here. You know, I'm looking that we come up into this resistance right here, about 192, and then we pull back a little bit and put a handle in there, and then we really take off in this. I mean, that would be classic behavior. You know, not the kind of capitulation bottom we're used to seeing, but a rounding bottom. And there used to be a lot more rounding bottoms in the market. So it's kind of like a really quick overview of the markets. If anybody has any questions at a market level or a sector level, go ahead and ask your questions now. And if not, we'll move into some of the tickers. But this chart you're seeing right now is the VIX, and you can see that the VIX has been, you know, steadily pulling back, and you know, continues to decline, which is what we want to see out of the VIX, right? The volatility index. So, are there any questions or anything you guys want to see at a sector level at the moment? If not, I will continue on. So we're going to. I'll ask you guys for your tickers. I've got a few tickers here that some people have DM'd me. So we'll do those first, but just before we get into that, just take a look at the screen. If you want to put your tickers into the chat, let me know what you're thinking about that stock. Are you're looking to invest in it, trade it? You know, are you looking to go long or short? Is there anything you see that we should focus on? You know, where do you see support and resistance, that sort of thing? Anything you want to tell me at all would be cool. So I'll just watch out for those, and Thanks, Ryan. I see you've thrown one in here, thrown VEEV in here, so we'll get to that in a sec. But first, we are going to look at a couple for Nash from the Discord. First thing he wanted to look at was NEO. All right. So NEO had obviously been in a very long-term downtrend. Okay. Yeah, came into this near this fairly major support, and then started an uptrend, and has since started going sideways and broken that short-term uptrend. So I'll just get rid of some of that line. And it's got this nice downward channel here, very clean, well behaved on that channel, and maybe even breaking out. You know, this stock does tend to behave reasonably well in its channels. You know, you can see that many times in the past. So let's draw that channel in there, and there may be a couple of ways to draw it, and depending on which way we draw it, you know, we may be in the midst of a breakout right now. So I want to draw that one there. I'm just going to copy this and move that underneath here. See how nicely that works in this stock? And I'm going to draw another one. You can see this, there's almost a channel sort of within the channel here. Or a little, you know, sort of descending wedge there, and that we've just kind of broken out of now. We really need to kind of start, you know, get a move on here and get up through this trend line. Now, the validity of this trend line, I love this trend line on here because, you know, this is a very long-term trend line, but it seemed to kind of come up to it, and then when it broke through it, it came back down to it. So that may happen again. You can see here even, it kind of came to that trend line and pulled back a little bit. So I want to keep an eye on that downtrend line there. You can see I've got a couple alerts on NEO for a break. I was looking at this range in here, basically, you know, this whole range, and it kind of looks like it broke out to the downside of that range. There was, you know, almost kind of a base going on here, right? And it looks like we broke out the bottom of that base, but didn't really go anywhere, you know, went sideways after that. Now we've come back into it. So this looks reasonably healthy. It's underperforming the market, obviously, but would really like to see this start breaking out of here and getting through these levels. You know, first of all, getting out of this range, through this trend line, above this support resistance up at 24-ish, and then it could be on its way. But this definitely looks bottomish to me. And, you know, looking like it wants to go higher. So that's all I've got on NEO for you. Shopify. So Shop's made some really nice moves in the last week. It looked like it was finally going to break out of this base. And it's a really nice looking base in here as well. I guess we haven't looked at this in quite a while. So let's draw in this base. I mean, look how clean that is. If you're a mean reversion trader, you could totally have been trading, you know, back and forth inside of here. So yesterday, tried to break out of here. It had already had a big, strong move right up into that level. So I'm not too surprised that it couldn't go much farther today. It really needs to get up and go here. Because if it falls back into the base, it's probably coming right down to the bottom of the base again before it turns up. Now, obviously, there's some resistance overhead here. Let's draw that in. Just sort of in around this area. It's probably actually showing this as an area, but it's pretty much, you know, 50 cents either side of $50, and there will be. There'll be some resistance up in this area too. Get around there. And again in here. But, you know, we've broken, well, it broke the downtrend line. in that consolidation. Whoops. We broke one of them in that consolidation anyway. There's a few of them going on here. So we've got that one we'll need to watch out for. The accelerated trend line is the one that I'm talking about that was broken recently. And you can see, you can even, you could have drawn a trend line there. And so it's nice to see this breaking through these accelerated trend lines. And it's got one more to go here. And this is a little scary that, it touched that trend line, and we've got a little red doji indecision candle there. So yeah, it really needs to go. It'd be really nice to see this move tomorrow and have a nice strong day. It doesn't have to get to 50, but it just needs to get out above this and hold a little bit, I think. I think if we go in sideways here, there is a chance that we just roll over. But it looks like shop may be finally ready to start clawing back some of this that it's lost. But fundamentally, this thing is still way overvalued, most likely, especially if we are going into a recession. So there's concerns here, and you've definitely got to take a look at your fundamentals on this. If there's a trade in here, there's definitely a trade in here just off of the technicals. You can make a few bucks, but if you're looking at a long-term investment in this stock, I really think you've got to study the fundamentals on it and see what's going on with the company. All right, that's it for the ones for Nash. Casey Dawes has asked for ULTA. I believe that is ULTA Beauty. Oof. Wow, this is just choppy, this thing. But notice this has not had the giant pullback that most of the market has had. I mean, I guess the big part of that pullback was from here, 442 down to 340. So I guess about 20%. It's actually not too bad compared to what most of the market has done. Wow, this thing has always been kind of choppy. It's got some nice trends in there, but a lot of chop along the way. This is not the kind of stock that I would not be a happy investor in this kind of stock, because when it gets into this choppy mess, I would just want to bail. I'd be getting out. But that's just me. This can certainly work for you if you like this company, you understand the fundamentals well. This could probably be a good time to get in. It just scares me sometimes. I think, actually, I think I kind of remember. Well, this was COVID. No, this gap down here back in August of 2019, I'm pretty sure was when Amazon said they were going to get into the beauty supplies space. And that really hurt them. And then obviously here, this is COVID here, but they've recovered from all of that quite nicely. And through this bear market, they've really sort of come back to where they were before Amazon said they're coming to eat their lunch. So interesting. So yeah, I mean, if this is an investment and you understand the company well, there's probably opportunity here. So let's see if we can find you a good entry. Get some levels drawn in. Definitely got something going on there. Okay. So yeah, this is a nice level here. This 360 bounced right off of there. So you want to see this now that this is sort of, and it is this isn't a range. It's messy, but it is definitely in a range here. And now that it's come down near the bottom of the range and potentially is turning up, you definitely want to see this move back up into the top of the range. If you're looking to buy this, I mean, this anywhere down in here is probably good. If we get another pullback in the market, you're probably going to get a chance to buy it in this, 335 area. If the bottom is in the market, this should start climbing higher. And I think that with this being makeup, I mean, I just don't see, if there's a recession, I don't see, um, I see makeup being one of those things that, people who use makeup want to go out and continue to buy. They're not going to stop using their makeup, right? So this, I would think, is fairly recession proof. But, I don't know that for sure. I mean, I don't understand the demographics of this company very well at all. So again, something that you might want to think about researching. But yeah, I could see as long as this 360 level is holding, um, no reason not to be in it. I get a little concerned if it breaks below 360 and then can't hold this 340 to 335 area. But yeah, I think that's what I've got for you on ULTA. So we've got some in the live chat here, and for Ryan we have VEEV. It's a pharma, isn't it, or a biotech? Healthcare technology. Okay. Oh, this has had a nice move off the lows, eh? Bottom out around 150, and it's up to what, 2 months later we're up to 230. It's not a bad move, although it lost a ton. I mean, it lost more than what, about 60% off its highs from 340 down to 150. So that was definitely a big move down. Let's get some levels in. That's going to be an important level, that one right there. Anything else on the downside? This area should be fairly important as well. Okay. Yeah, there's a decent uptrend going on in here right now. Very well behaved on that trend line. Keeps coming to it and bouncing off it. Yeah, this is nice and healthy. So this 240 area that it's coming into soon, watch out for that. I would not be at all surprised if it paused there, maybe came back, touched the trend line, and then took off again. That would be a nice entry if it did that. That would look something like, comes up in here. Either it pauses and just kind of goes sideways until it catches up to the trend line and then it takes off again, or it may come up here, roll over, come down to the trend line, and then bounce off the trend line, kind of like it did here, right? And then start moving away from the trend line a little bit. Finds the next resistance, probably actually get this level here, and there'll probably be some resistance there too. That'll be minor. Okay. Yeah, come into there and then do something similar. There's nothing here saying that this action is going to slow down, except that notice how tight the range on these candles has gotten in the last week. So we've it's still got good momentum. It's still moving up nicely, but the range has gotten a lot tighter. So either this is just getting a little more well behaved and it's just going to continue to grind up slowly, but there's definitely less volatility in this. So it may be that, a lot of the people who want to sell out of this have sold out. And it could be also that, a lot of people who want to come in and buy are getting a little less enthusiastic about buying. And Ryan says it crossed MF not long ago. And so it's getting some pop support from that. And where did all my moving averages go? Hang on a sec. But Ryan, what is MF? I'm probably gonna like smack myself in the head when you tell me, but oh, Motley Fool. Okay, right. Okay. Okay. I need to get the moving averages back. I don't know how all my moving averages disappeared. I forgot that when I did the last Sunday session, something really weird happened to this instance of e-signal, and I lost a bunch of stuff that's supposed to be on my charts. So you know what I'm going to do? We're going to take a little break here for a second, and I am going to go back to the instance of e-signal that I use for actual trading, because it does have all the moving averages and everything I need on it. So we'll just this will just take a second to reboot here. All right. And Ryan, is that affirm? Oh, affirmative. Okay. Almost thought you were asking for another stock there, which would be fine. Just waiting for all this to come back to life. I don't want the daily. There we go. Yeah, that's better. This one's got all my moving averages and everything on it that it's supposed to have. Look at the way it's, yeah, this is nice. I'll get that trend line back in there. The way it's really well behaved off that 20-day moving average. You know, climbing up there nicely. Some people may see a bit of a wedge here. That would be bearish, but I don't know. Yeah, if Disguise this guy was here, he'd be all over this wedge, calling this bearish. But I don't think so. I'm not too concerned about it. I think you've got a winner here. So are you looking market data connection loss? Are you looking to get in this, or are you already in it and you're just kind of wanting some affirmation that, you know, things are healthy here and it isn't a nice strong uptrend? Because if you're looking to get in, you know, kind of like I said before, right? You know, wait till it pulls back to the to this trend line or to the 20-day moving average, and then, you know, starts to move back up from there. That would be a good place to get in. So once it touches and then starts to move back up, that would be a place to add more or just start a position. All right. What else do we have? Unless you have any more questions on this, Ryan. So Ken has asked for MAXR. This one's kind of messy as well, isn't it? So this did have a nice uptrend going on. COVID didn't hit it that badly, probably because they do, you know, tons of government work, right? Yeah, government's not gonna stop buying satellite images. So, you know, I mean, it had a nice uptrend. That uptrend was broken back in beginning of 2021, earlier than the rest of the market, really. So we got some levels here. Let's get some of these levels in. gap there too. So get this gap showing up for us in case this comes into play again. All right. You can see this 2350 area has acted really nicely as support, and then there's this gap below it. So it keeps bouncing from that area, so that's healthy. But it's not healthy that it keeps coming down and testing it. You know, we're definitely still in a downtrend here. Let's get it over to here first. And then, you know, we've even got, you know, kind of accelerated downtrends here. But at least it's breaking, you know, it's breaking these accelerated downtrends now. It needs to come up, and there's gonna be more resistance right in around there. Somewhere in that area. And all these moving averages. Man, there's a ton of overhead in this. I think this is gonna have a hard time going anywhere fast. Look at, you know, we've got all these moving averages overhead. You've got the 200-day moving average, the 100-day moving average. On a, you know, more positive note, it has just crossed above its 21-day moving average and its 50-day moving average. But I think it's going to have to come into here and, you know, kind of move sideways a little bit, take a bit of a break, and then, you know, make another move higher. You can see, though, that a lot of the time when this has taken a break, it's rolled over to the downside. And, you know, granted, the market has done a lot of the same kind of thing. But there have been times when this is, you know, has had some healthy moves. So, yeah, I think you're just going to have some patience in this one. And Ken says, has a position in this, but wanted to see if the current uptrend is healthy and how much longer you think this run up can keep going. Okay, so I think I answered that question without even seeing it. I do think this is healthy, but it's kind of it's nascent. It's a little bit fragile. We should also draw it in. Yeah. It's, you know, it's good as long as this line is cool. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna be a little more optimistic about that and use this one. So yeah, maybe, you know, put this trend line on your own chart and just see how it behaves on it, and watch out in this area right here. This is right up in this area. Kind of the danger zone in here. You can see everything that's going on. You've got this volume node right here. You've got the, you know, these moving averages. There's a lot going on here. It could really pause, and that might just kick it down again. But if it gets through there, then I think you're in really good shape. Then you're definitely moving up to this downtrend line for a test of that, and, you know, maybe a test of these pivots right here. Mark that as well. It'd be interesting to see how this plays out. So yeah, Ken, don't be afraid to ask me about this one again in a future Ticker Talk, because I'm curious to see. I don't. This one's not really investable for me. But from a technical standpoint, I'm curious to see, you know, how this works. All right, so SK has asked, could you help identify support and resistance levels on MRNA, PEP, and AMGN at your earliest? Thank you in advance. Yes, I certainly can. So let's start with MRNA. I believe MRNA just had earnings, did they not? Yes, they did. So they moved up nicely on the earnings. Well, that's right. I was gonna, oh yeah, I remember now. Yesterday, I had in the weekend update. I'm pretty sure it was the last weekend update. I had talked about this and talked about playing, you know, a breakout in here, and you can see where I had my alert set. And I had yesterday morning, I had so much going on. I had so many alerts going off. And this one I didn't even get to look at until about 20 minutes in or so. And when Banknote reminded me in one of the short-term trading channel, and by then it had moved up a ton. We can take a look at the intraday chart on that. Here, I'll just move this to 5 minutes, and you can see. Up there we go. You can see how quickly this went. So this is a 5-minute chart, and so yeah, I finally got time to look at it when it was up and around here. Oh, it's too late now. And you know, I don't want to be chasing it up in here. But I still like it because I think that, here, we'll go back to the daily. I still think this has plenty of room to run. And you can see where I drew it, tended to target up here, you know, taking it up to 260. So you are more specifically asking for support and resistance levels. You can see it is just broken out of, you know, the little consolidation, the very, very minor short-term resistance that was, you know, down around here, right? And then we have another one over here, which should probably drive because that might be, although that's more of a pivot, kind of a little bit of a double toppy pivot there. So let's get that in there. You can see it just went right through there, no problem. But you know, more serious area is probably here, the 225, and then as we get up in the 250, 260 area. So we'll get some of those lines drawn in there, but I want to go back. I want to look farther back in time as well and just see how important, yeah, this 225 area is fairly important. That, whoops. Look at that little gap right there. Okay, so there's a gap here at around 259. It got filled and everything, but it is gappy in that area. And that's also sort of the target off of this bull flag from this consolidation. So yeah, these are the next levels you've got to watch out for. It's nice to see that this closed above its 200-day moving average today for the first time since December. Wow. So yeah, quite healthy. This is a fairly large move out of here. So it may slow down, you know, it may decelerate a little bit as it continues this way up to this first resistance, but this looks like a healthy move out of here. And I know it's hard to see on this volume chart. If we zoom in a little bit here, you can see we have really good volume on the breakout. That's really important to see as well. This volume, this is the highest volume on yesterday, the breakout day, since, you know, way back here in March. So good, yeah, nice healthy move going on here. I don't think you need to worry about this one anytime soon. What else do we have here? PEP. Wow. Triple top in Pepsi. I wonder if this is an all-time high. Yeah, what a trend, eh? When, you know, when you zoom out on these, all these, you know, kind of wiggles and bear markets and all that, it really kind of just sort of becomes irrelevant, doesn't it? When you look at this thing going back, you know, 30 years. What a monster. There we go, that's better. Sorry, I just want to get this trend line just right because it's still not there. There we go. Perfect. Look at this trend line from back in 1994, you know, to the crash in 2008-9, and then the COVID crash. Where does it come down to? This 30-year-old trend line. Amazing, isn't it? Okay, so now that we've seen that, you can see there are other trend lines in here as well that are fairly well behaved as well. If you know, we could draw one there, for instance. But you know, however you slice this, Pepsi is in a long-term uptrend, very healthy looking stock. You know, it doesn't pull back too much. I mean, the biggest pullback this has had in a really long time was here for COVID, right? So, you know, 150 came down to 100. So it lost, what, 30%, and you know, right back up again, right? And what have we got going on now? We've got this, you know, triple top, or it's just, you know, it's consolidating. It's just drawing a base before it breaks out and, you know, resumes its uptrend. That would certainly be a very reasonable way to look at all of this price action, right? You know, we should probably actually be looking at a weekly chart here. You know, in a way the way I switched it up and everything, but this really deserves to be looked at as a weekly chart because it's really not a trading stock, it's an investment. So when we do that, when we look at this as, you know, on a weekly, you know, on the weekly, we're still seeing this triple top, but we're also seeing a double bottom here. So the question becomes, is it showing us anything that's saying it's ready to break out? And I would argue the answer to that question is no, this is not ready to go, and I'll show you why. I want you to see the bearish RSI divergence that's going on here. You see where I see on the RSI down at the bottom of the chart, you can see how when it's making, you know, coming in to make these highs, and the RSI made a high, okay? The next time it came up and made a high here, the RSI was much lower. And we've come in and making a high again, and the RSI so far has not broken out above that previous high. So not broken out above the previous high here. So that's you know, that's a negative, a bearish momentum divergence. Not something we want to see. Now that can go ahead and clear itself up. You know, if this breaks out, that will clear itself up. But it is something that sort of gives us pause, and it's a little bit of a red flag. Some other great things I see in here, though, is the way it's, you know, behaving off the 21-day moving average, the 50-day moving average, especially the 50. Like, you know, it cuts down through the 50. It only stays down, you know, through it. Well, here, I mean, it was only down there for one day. When it cut down through here, it had a couple of closes below the 50-day moving average here, and then it's right back up again. You know, and the long-term moving averages, the 100 and the 200, they're still rising nicely. So, you know, if you're looking to get in this or add to it as an investment, two ways that you could do that. You could buy a breakout of this range. That would be one way to do it. You could wait and see if this rolls back over, how it behaves at the 50-day moving average, or down here at these, you know, this little double bottom. You know, if it comes down here and puts in a little spiky bar, a little spiky candle like that, and starts moving back up again, you know, that's a great place to buy. You've got yourself a good entry. But it might not come down there again. You know, if it pulls back from here, it may only come back to the 50 and then turn back up. So, yeah, it's right now is a sort of a tough decision to, you know, whether you get in on a breakout up there or not. But this might be ready to go. But just keep in mind that, you know, when this gets itself in a trend, it does tend to go for a while before it moves sideways for a little bit. And it does look like it's getting itself set up to make a nice move again. So that's Pepsi. That was a fun chart to look at. Oh, I just saw Just asked for PENN. Sorry, I skipped over you there. I'll definitely get to that. We'll just finish off this AMGN for SK, and then we'll move on to PENN. Okay. Yeah, another kind of messy, choppy chart, but has handled this bear market really well. Lots of resistance overhead, though. Big time resistance there. Just can't seem to get through. But you know, I mean, it's still got most of a still got most of an uptrend going on here. You know, it's fairly well behaved in an uptrend. You know, some people will call this an ascending triangle, and that ascending triangle tends to be bearish. You would expect to see it come out of the bottom of that ascending triangle. But the upside in this, I think, you know, some good news out of this ascending triangle is the accelerated uptrend that's going on within it. RSI looks pretty normal. Now notice here in the RSI, you know, the RSI is sort of declining, but so are the tops here, right? So that would be fairly normal behavior. They're not coming up and making exactly the same high. I mean, this one's very close, but this one is definitely lower. You know, this is a nice little consolidation going on here. If you're looking to add to this, a little breakout of this consolidation might be a good place to add. Because it's nicely risk defined too, right? Like if you wanted to, you know, make an ad, if it breaks out and keeps going, that's great. If it doesn't and it falls down below and comes down below this 21-day moving average, maybe you stop out of that piece you added. Because if it does break down below this 21-day moving average, it's probably coming down to this trend line or the 200-day moving average. You know, coming down here and you know, possibly give you a better entry. But this 260 zone is going to be tough. It's, you know, it's definitely finds sellers every time it gets there. Yeah, tough call about buying this right now, but it is looking like it's kind of nicely set up for a buy. And, you know, biotech has been doing fairly well the last couple of days. In fact, actually, this is definitely underperforming biotech today. Yeah, you can see biotech had a nice little bull flag and broke out of that bull flag today. You know, had made a nice move off the lows, little consolidation for a few days and then breaking out. Amgen, all Amgen's got is the consolidation without the breakout. So that's a little worrisome as well. But this is a much bigger company than a lot of stuff that's in that biotech ETF. SK is telling me sold a 270 naked call. Ooh, naked call? Yikes, in a biotech. Wow, you're gutsy. For earnings play even, as Ivy was good and had a good bit of 100 or a good bit of $1. Wow, that is really gutsy. Let's go back to the daily. Get a better sense of how far away that is. I mean, even I don't sell naked calls ever. I don't sleep. I mean, I have, but I just can't sleep when I do. Especially in a stock, you know, especially in a biotech. What if they suddenly develop a cure for every cancer ever known? This thing's going to $1 million if they do. So when are her earnings? Has it had earnings already? I don't see any action going in here. Okay. After hours, and it's dropped. Phew, good. Okay, nice trade. Very, very gutsy though. Okay. So it came down, let's see, after hours. Where's it down to? Wow, it's all the way down to 245. So it is down basically on the trend line. Okay. And they have ex dividends, so it will drop $2 then as well. I did it on the monthly. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you had like tons of good reasoning to do this. It's just such a scary thing to do because I mean, naked calls, selling naked calls can just go so wrong so fast. All right. Oh yeah, PENN. Let's move on to PENN. So PENN had a nice breakout yesterday, or sorry, 2 days ago. If I mentioned this one, I'm in this, by the way. Bought the breakout here, got a really nice entry right as it broke out. Was really happy on Tuesday when it kept moving up. Didn't mind that it slowed down a little bit. It wasn't thrilled about it that it slowed down here, and not liking this candle today. This is a pretty bearish candle, actually, to be coming on earnings. And just to refresh myself here. Yeah, okay. It's like, we had the earnings and it popped up and then it just sort of like fell down all day long. So that is not ideal. We did see some really good buying volume, though. Look at all these buyers coming in here at the end of the day. Even more buyers at the end of the day, or more volume at the end of the day on these green candles than there was at the beginning of the day on these giant green candles. So that is nice and healthy right at the end of the day there. But as we go back to the daily and look at this candle, this is not good. So this has really got to hold. So let's get some support resistance lines, some trend lines and whatnot in here. So we've got this very young trend right here. We definitely want to see that hold. And we've got, obviously this area here is a resistance zone. That's why I was really happy, yesterday when it closed above, even though it was a little red doji, it had closed above this level, right? It kind of gapped up a tiny bit and it closed up there. That was really, really nice to see. So, obviously this is earnings candle, so not ideal, but again, holding that trend line. We've got some more resistance overhead, sort of the top of this consolidation, or we could just draw that right at 40 there. And there might even be kind of right, in fact, see there's sort of this consolidation within a consolidation here. All these little tops right here. What is that, 38.75? And you can see that's where it topped out again today. So this is going to be quite a zone for it to try and get through. Do we need to draw in any downtrend lines? Yeah, we probably should, shouldn't we? So from there to there. Oops, I missed. Yeah, that's on. Yeah, that works. So we've also got, we've got this longer term downtrend line overhead. Actually, let's just take that right up to there. Okay. Yeah, that's not too far away. That's going to be, yeah, that's quite the zone. But we have, we have broken through, these accelerated downtrends, right? So that's really nice to see. So it is trying to bottom. It's doing a rounding bottom like we see a lot of in a lot of things. A lot of that rounding bottom going on. It looks reasonably healthy, except for today's candle. So it may just need a little more time sideways, or maybe just slow down a little bit and just sort of ride up along this trend line a bit. All right, thanks, Johnny. We'll see you next time.
Hey, Kevin.
Anything else you see in there, Jess?
No, but I was gonna tell you that I was able to enter it right at the breakout. But then I did get stopped out today at like 34.75 or something like that. I don't know if that was like too tight of a stop.
Well, depends, I mean, depends what you were trying to get out of it. So
Yeah.
so did you break out around break even?
Yeah, I mean, I lost like a percent, like 1.5%. But
did you go in?
yeah, I got in like at 35,
I see.
like 35.10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say your stop was too tight.
Okay. Okay.
And so you went in at 35. So you were catching this on the day it broke out.
Pretty much, yeah. I woke up in the morning, I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, what was my entry on that?
I'd say after I bought it, like maybe 15 minutes later, it was like climbing its way up to like 36 that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I didn't put it in here. Hang on. I'm gonna go over my broker platform. Man, I like had two. You know what? Did I actually? How did I build out of it? Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have that same line drawn in that you just drew, like the like accelerated trend line.
Yeah.
And then looking back, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have put my stop like right. My stop was basically right on that line.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at. I mean, I can see why you'd want to be there, and it was almost break even, but it is right at an area that should support, right? So like if we draw some other lines in here, so basically we draw it. Here's the breakout zone, right? And so the breakout is right at 30, 35, 34.95, some right in there, right?
Right.
And so you put your stop right at that. Right at that breakout level. And so what happens quite often, and this has done this, right? You see your breakout, you go up, you come back, you retest the breakout level, and then often it will go back up from here, right? Okay. So you were kind of tight because you're right on this place where it should support, but you should be just below it.
Yeah. Yeah.
34.40 or something. If you wanted it to be tight, 34.40.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that.
Yeah, I'd still be in it right now if I just had it in a few cents. My sauce was just a few cents lower.
But the next question is, had you moved this stop up, or is that where the stop was right from your entry?
Oh, it was that right from the entry. I didn't really touch anything. Yeah, I got in. I put the stop. I got in at what is it, like 35.10.
Okay.
And then when the next day came and it was like chilling at 37, I was like, I'm good.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't think to like check my stop really. And then today, yeah, because I don't really watch it. I kind of just make my moves.
Right.
And I leave, because I do have a day job, so I just leave and then I see what happens at the end.
So, yeah, okay. So alerts are good, because even if you can get text alerts, email alerts, or something like that. So at least you just kind of maybe go and take a quick look if you can. Like if I know you said you're working, but if you can get away for 2 minutes and take a look. But
definitely gonna try that.
So I'll maybe show you what I would have done if I was doing a tight stop there. So your entry was fantastic, right? You nailed the entry on that. But I think that the tightest a stop can go with where you entered is below the low of that day. Okay?
Yeah.
So right below that, so you get in, you look at that candle, you go, okay, I got to be like at least a couple pennies below that. So what is that? That is 33.82 on that. That's still fairly tight. Now, if you think that's too far away, that means you're trading too large, right? Your position was too big. if that's too much of a stop.
Got it.
So you should, you know, in that case, you would shrink your position size to account for that stop. Okay.
Yeah.
And even when you were setting this trade up, and I know that when I was setting this trade up for myself, my original stop was down under that candle, because that's when I'm thinking, okay, if it gets down below that, I'm really wrong. You know, if it gets below there, it's probably going below this one, right? You know, some people might say, well, if you're going to go down there, maybe you should go down here. Now it's just getting too far away, right? But yeah, my original stop was right under there, got moved up to here fairly quickly, right? And then, you know, following day, it gets moved up under here. So I was still prepared to, because I'm prepared to, for this to run, right? I mean, I really thought this was going to 40. And probably pausing there and then going higher up into, I think my target was up in around, you know, this area here, up in around 60. Yeah, was kind of my ultimate target on this. So I wanted to give it room. I want to, you know, give it room to wiggle around and stuff, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah. I guess, you know, I didn't really have too much experience with setting the stops. I guess I think in my mind, I was thinking, you know, below the breakout. If it goes below the breakout, then I'm probably wrong. But now that you're explaining it, I think you're right. I do have a little bit more wiggle room down there.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to give it, especially if you're going to have the stop in the market. Like, see, for me, because I'm here all day, I use alerts most of the time, unless it's something that's not a volatile stock, that's not spiky or whatever. But, you know, this is most of the time, this is a fairly volatile stock. It can really move around quite a bit, so and have some spikes. So I don't want to get spiked out on something like that, right? So I'll have an alert, and you know, so if I had a stop just under this candle, for instance, you know, I'll have an alert there, and so my alert goes off, and I look and I see it's coming down fast, and then I start watching the price action, and I probably see this turn. So I'm not actually going to stop myself out quite yet. Now, you can only do this if you have really good discipline. You don't want to sit there and then watch this go down, go down, go down. You know, it's kind of like, you know, some people will have, say they had their stop right on this red day, they would have had their stop right here. And some people, if they have an alert for a stop instead of having it on the market, they will just watch it go all the way down here, this deer in the headlights. And so those people shouldn't use alerts instead of stops, right?
Right.
But the hazard for you is when you make your stops really tight, that you just get this little spike, especially when you were near this area where it should probably turn. A little spike and then it turns, and then you're like, oh man, they came hunting for my stop. And it's like, well, no, that's kind of where it was gonna turn anyway, right?
Right. So my question now is this then, like, what do you think it's about at where my entry was in the first place? Like, do you think it's worth it to maybe jump back in, or at this point kind of just?
No, not after this candle.
Okay, yeah.
So this kind of needs to set up again, and
yeah.
Setting up again is maybe going sideways in here, consolidating. You know, that would break this trend, but you know, we needed to do this again. So this is a beautiful setup, right? And that's why we got a big move there. It's just really unfortunate that that it didn't, you know, continue to move.
Yeah.
And the other, you know, the other thing I would say about this is, so you had the good entry, you had the stop that was fairly tight. When it came up and did this yesterday, you could have, now this is optional, I'm not saying you should have, because I don't think I would have, but if you like tight stops and you want to, given this market, make sure you take some profit out of the market or whatever, right? There is nothing wrong with moving that stop up to here, just below that candle, right? You know, that would guarantee you a win. And it's, you know, a fairly reasonable thing to do, considering that this was a bit of an indecisive candle in here.
Yeah.
And we had a good breakout candle, and then we kind of got indecisive. And we got indecisive with a fair bit of volume too.
Yeah.
And you know,
I was actually considering that, but what stopped me from doing that was, I really want to kind of stick to my original sort of plan.
yes.
And I just figured maybe the next time I'll give it a shot. But yeah, so I ended up just leaving it as it is, as it was.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you have the discipline that, you know, to want to stick to your plan, but the plan does need to adjust too.
Okay.
And also knowing that it's got earnings coming, you know, the following morning. Yeah, there would be nothing wrong with putting a stop there, except that you know, I wouldn't want to see you have that stop in there overnight. Like it's the kind of thing you have to get up in the morning, watch
Yeah.
the open for a sec, and then put the stop on.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So let's go back to, and again, I don't know if you can do this with your job, right? But
Yeah.
let's say you were short this stock, okay? This isn't the best example, but it's kind of there. Like, let's see the way this like shoots up and then pulls right back. You know, and this all happens when the space of, we're looking at a 5-minute chart here. So this all happens with the space of, you know, 20 to 30 minutes. It shoots up, pulls back, and then grinds down. You kind of almost don't want to have your stop in the market. Or actually, conversely, you can see here how this it gapped down a little bit and then went right back up. So, you know, if you had a stop here at like, you know, say just under 36, you know, 35.93 or something, and you had that just sitting there, it's like it's almost bait for people to come and get it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've got this spike down, they stop you out, and then they shoot this up. So that's why first thing in the morning for the open, if I have any stops working, I pause them. You know, it's really easy to do in my broker platform. And so that's something you might want to consider as well, if you're able to. If you're already at work by then and busy at work, then
I mean, I say work, but I mean, I work at home.
Oh, okay.
I do have like my setup here. Like this is like,
Right.
I know it's blurry back there, but it's all there.
Yeah.
I honestly like it's honestly like the discipline thing for now because I'm still pretty new.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I might get carried away, but eventually, yeah, definitely, I'm gonna be more active in checking in periodically.
I think you should, and especially in the morning with the stops and stuff. Try that with pausing your stop for the open.
Okay.
As long as you think you can have the discipline. If it spikes down and keeps going down,
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, you got to get out, right?
Yeah. Right.
It's difficult.
Yeah, I think I could. Yeah, I'll definitely try that for the future for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
And I don't want to take up too much time. I know you already talked to me so much for a long time already, but I use Thinkorswim. I asked, and I'm thinking of going to TradeView or eSignal, and I want to see if you maybe some other people on the Discord might also like have a similar question. But which one do you think I should kind of go with?
TradingView. So as a charting platform, right?
Yes.
Still going to use Thinkorswim as your broker.
Yes, Thinkorswim is my broker, okay. But I don't know. The charts on there it's a little clunky. It's hard to zoom in and zoom out.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
eSignal is expensive.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was wondering, like, what is the huge benefit? It doesn't even have crypto or anything on there.
You get what you need out of TradingView. You could, you know, a yearly subscription on TradingView.
Yeah,
it's about the same price as a month of eSignal.
Yeah.
And even their data, I mean, they've got free real-time data that's not bad. Unless you're day trading, it's good enough for what most people do. And,
okay.
and the data is free. I mean, I have to pay eSignal, or I'm paying the exchanges a lot of money for data. I'm paying like 150 months just for real-time data, which you kind of have to do. There's no free real-time data on eSignal. You know, so you've got to pay those high fees for real-time data there. So yeah, I love eSignal, but I've been using it a super long time. Switching is hard, and I use TradingView as well. But I understand what you're saying. It is a little clunky. I don't like it anywhere near as much as eSignal, and I wouldn't be able to switch to it.
Yeah.
But If I had started with TradingView, I think I'd be totally fine with it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you for all the help today, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. All right. I see another question from SK. Let's say, hey, Kevin, could I review my 2 plays I did as well for today, scalp for AMD and Netflix? And I wasn't quick enough to turn green today for calls on those. Okay, yeah, absolutely. We can look at those. SK, do you want to unmute and, or are you able to unmute and let me know what you were?
Yeah, okay. So I'll, yeah, thanks, Kevin. So one was, we'll start with the AMD. I bought 2 calls this morning at 9:43 Eastern because it, and I wanted to just kind of really kind of go through my thought process to see if I did right. Like, you know, I saw it broke a psych level at 100, and then I sold one at like 3 minutes later. I did good on that, you know, but then the second one, you know, I sold it. I had to sell the other call at 9:50 because it started going down.
Yeah.
So it started out at 9:43 in the morning. Just want to see if
Here, I'll go to a 2-minute here. So actually, I can even go to, why don't I just go to 1 minute? We'll zoom right in on this. You can see I've got a bunch of different a bunch of different time frames on this page. Just to, oh, right, yeah, I can't go back that far. I'm not bringing in that much data. We'll do it at 2 minutes. That should get me to the beginning of the day. Yes, it does. Yeah, and sorry, I had been watching AMD as well. That's what all these lines are, all these pink and green lines. There's a ton of lines on this chart, right? It probably looks kind of messy to most people, but just so you know what's going on, these pink lines are all my resistance lines. Usually for something I may trade intraday, I'll put in 3 resistance lines and I'll put in three support lines. And they get copied across all these different time frames. You can see I have a 1 minute, a 5 minute, a 15, and a 65 minute. And then in the middle, early in the day, this big middle chart is my main chart. Obviously, that is usually a 2-minute chart. But as things slow down a little later in the day, I'll often switch it to 5 minutes. And then for the close, I'll go back to 2. And you can see that there's a VWAP on here. And there's also some lines that are drawn in automatically. They tell me like, the pre-market range, the pre-market low and the pre-market high, these yellow lines here, the previous day's close and stuff like that. And all right, Jess, I'll see you next time. So anyway, that's what I got going on my charts, just so these don't look totally messy and confusing to you. Okay, Ken, yeah, have a good one. You're welcome. Glad you could make it. I'm glad I was helpful. Okay, sorry, SK. We'll get back.
This is helpful. Yeah, I love the way you got the setup. This is nice, man. You got all these multiple. It just made me kind of, inspired me to, look at multiple time frames, have all my support resistance kind of lined up, VWAP. Yeah, I actually just got an indicator on my toss where I'm able to, see like prior day, the high and the low and the pre-market. It has some bubbles at the right, so that kind of
cool.
Kind of helped me out.
Yeah, I've just got it. Actually, if I move this chart back over, you can see the labels. I've wound it back in time, so you can't see the labels. The labels always hang out. Here we go. Well, that isn't working out well at all, is it? Here we go. You can see here the labels and everything, right? So you can see it automatically draws a line in for the open. And then the previous day's close is this dotted blue line. Previous day's high is this dotted green line. And, the day's high it puts in automatically. These are 1, 2, and R1, R2. These are what are called floor trader pivots. I don't use them much, but it is surprising how often they can act as support or resistance. Usually very briefly, but those are levels that often come into play. So yeah, it's nice. It makes it a little bit messy, but your eye gets used to it really quick. And it's just nice to have some of those levels automatically drawn so that when you're on a 2-minute chart or something, and you're not seeing yesterday's price action, that line for there, or even today's price action, for instance, right? Like that's the high of the day. So when I'm looking over here, I know that that's the high of the day, right? Without having to see kind of the whole day to be able to figure that out. Okay, but let's get back into your trade. So you said, and and if you ever want to do this again, just so you know, you could even share your own screen to show me and show everybody else, on your own charts, if you wanted to do that. We could definitely set that up.
Okay, yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah, I'd like to do that. Yeah.
Do you want to do that right now, or perhaps?
Yeah, I'll just watch. Yeah, this time on your side, and then yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
So you said in around 9:43 you bought some calls.
Yeah, 9:43. Yeah, got in, and then I sold my first one at 9:46. I got a little. I had put.
And this,
I had like a.
yeah.
I had like this automated template where it just took, I think, 15%. If you
Cool.
get, yeah, and then it, but then I had my automated stop at 15, and so
Okay.
yeah, the second one closed right after. But what I'm learning is I'm going to probably update my template to maybe make that, from just learning from the last conversation I had with Just, maybe make it down to 2025,
Right.
and you do it that way so I can write it out for a little bit. Yeah, I'm just trying, like, a lot or two just to kind of get comfortable with the process. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so that part of it's automated. So we can't really, I guess we could critique your automation a little bit, but I mean, it seems to have worked out okay, right? You're scalping, so we're not expecting to make really big gains here, right? It's important that you take profit quickly, and that you cut your losses, instantly, right? And I could see, like, if this were me, so I don't scalp anymore. I did when I was younger. It's definitely a young man's game, and I'm definitely not desiring to move that quickly, be that intense anymore, right? But I totally get the attraction, and I totally used to do it. And it's fun and it's exciting, and it can be quite profitable if you're good at it. So looking at this candle, so yeah, you went in here on this candle, caught a nice move up. It went up, in the next candle, that's great. And then, you exited, or your algo exited on this candle, and that's great. Because I think that, most day traders would have seen this go up, and once this started to pull back, this candle, they would have been exiting there. And you can see in the next candle, it's lower, tried to go up again, couldn't. And when this candle started to pull back, you can see a bunch of people came in here and started to sell. And then it all starts to set up again. So that part of the trade seems great.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and I was watching, SPIX and the Qs at the same time, but yeah, just hearing from what you were saying, yeah, this is yeah, it was a rush, kind of fun, but I think you just also inspired me to, yeah, I don't want I want to learn more about your strategy and in terms of playing more, key level swing breakouts and long term, so the pressure is not as high or the stress.
Yeah.
It's not like I would get stressed or anything, but like, I can, um, I can probably do better. Yeah. So I need to see if I can maybe catch some of your recorded. I don't know if you got a bunch of stuff in the recorded sessions that I should look at, you recommend, or just kind of, just kind of engage more in the chat room. To learn more the strategy.
Yeah. Well, you should engage with us in the short-term trading channel.
Perfect. Okay.
I don't know if you've seen any of the conversations. It's mostly Banknote and Disguise the Sky. Myself, obviously. Jerry gets in there. There's some really good ideas going on in there. Banknote really likes finding a lot of penny stocks that are in play, that are setting up for big moves. And both those guys, Disguise the Sky and Banknote, both like patterns. They'll be looking for, they may be looking at a 2-minute chart. I know Banknote actually uses a 3-minute chart, but he'll be looking for patterns and consolidations, like right here. Okay, he'll look at this. So here you can see it couldn't get through that level, right? But buyers are stepping up. Do you see what I mean by that?
It's a pennant because you've got the prior long big candle right there at 11:30, and then ascending wedge is what they call this, right?
Yeah. It's not a wedge though. It's an ascending triangle.
Okay.
A wedge, it'd be a wedge if it looked like that, right? That would be an ascending wedge.
Okay.
This is an ascending triangle here.
Okay.
The point here is that there is a level. There's a level here where people have been selling it, right? And it couldn't get through there. Couldn't get through that level. But, every time it goes up there, it comes down, right? And it puts in this low. They buy it back up. They buy it up and it comes down. And they're willing to pay more. They buy higher here. And it goes up and it barely comes down at all, right? It starts going back up again. It breaks through. And look what happens when it breaks through there. So Banknote is really good at watching for little patterns like this. And you can see there's almost a smaller one right here, right? Although it broke out to the downside of that. And when it did break out to the downside, look what happened, right? That R3 level, remember, I'm drawing these levels, this red line here, I'm drawing that in the pre-market. And these are levels off of other price action from previous days. You can see right here on my 15-minute chart, that's where I got that R3 from, was this high from 2 days previous, okay? And look how that came into play. It acted as resistance here, and then it acted as support over here. So it's not a surprise that when it came down here and started to bounce, that we had a couple of big green candles, and then we had a break. So if you had missed this move, in this consolidation, it's giving you another chance to get ready. And then you buy the breakout here. And then we had a really nice move off of that. And then you can see here, we have this little blow off, right? Now this is a small blow off, but look at the volume on that candle. This candle right here, huge volume, almost the biggest volume of the day. If you're not selling in that, you're doing it wrong. Now, it didn't come down all that much, which is a little surprising, and it recovered quickly, went up again, and had another blow off. And look how the volume on that candle is almost as much as the volume on this candle. And this is the one that was like, this candle was almost fatal for it. But AMD was really strong that day. And, you can see, even though it pulled back a lot, it still can sort of continue to grind up, but it was never able to make, to break those highs. It was never actually able to really break that first blow off top. Does all that make sense to you?
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, a lot, Kevin. A good explanation. what I'm learning is that yeah, just putting in more screen time and just watching the patterns and grabbing a cold drink and just trying to understand this will help to
Yeah.
kind of understand though.
So one of the things that you can do, and you really kind of have to do, if you want to be a good scalper, a good intraday trader, is go back and look at this chart, right? You traded this thing, and go back and just look at everything we just went through, and maybe even scroll through the chart like this, kind of just one candle at a time, and tell yourself a story about every one of these candles, right? What is going on here at these candles? It's like, okay, here, we came up, we've had a big move up. What happens in the next candle? Oh, another big green candle, awesome. Oh, and now we've got, now we're chopping around. Well, it's consolidating. Okay, what would I do here? Would I sell short if it broke out below this? Would I buy if it went above this? And look at, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I'd get short right there. Where would my stop be? What would I do? Oh, look at, it came down, but now it's got this big green candle. I probably want to be a buyer here. And sure enough, yeah, you want to be a buyer, right? Just do that kind of thing. Go back and look for these little patterns. Look for, and what happens after you see them. And just practice it like that. Just always telling yourself a story about individual candles, telling yourself a story about areas of the chart. That'll do wonders for your trading.
Okay.
That's something I did a lot early on, and I journaled all this stuff too. And when I saw good setups like this, when I saw good setups like this one, or even this pullback into support here, I would basically take a screenshot of this and put it in my journal, and I'd tell the story here. How would I have traded this? And then you can go back and look, and you build yourself this sort of playbook of setups like this. And actually, carrying, and sometimes you don't see stuff right away. You don't see it till later, but look at this, right? When this came down, where did it come down to? The top of that consolidation area, right? And it bounced right off of there. So, this is something, if you're really on the ball and trading this, you should be expecting a bounce here, waiting for a bounce to happen maybe in that area. And, sure enough, you can see just by the size of this candle and some volume coming in, that there were traders waiting for a bounce in that area and buying it up. So it's looking and watching for the behavior of other traders, and just basically trying to follow them, trying to follow the guys who have big money.
Sure.
And that's, the big money is where you see all this volume.
Yeah.
But this is great. You've picked good stocks to trade as well, especially AMD, because that was in play because of earnings and everything like that, and everything that's going on with semis. And Netflix is another high volume stock. So a lot of the stocks that that you'll see me swing trading don't necessarily make good day traders, right? That makes sense?
Yeah, that means that you have to be, you have to stomach the up and down over the swing. You're looking for more.
Oh, for sure. But you also
Always.
got to have a lot of volume during the day, right? It's got to trade. It's got to, a lot of shares need to be trading hands. And, I mean, look at AMD, the average volume during the day is what, 500,000 shares every 2 minutes. That's really easy to get in and out of, right? Even for big players, that's easy to get in and out of. And Netflix is pretty much the same. So was there anything else in AMD you wanted to show me?
No, this was good. Yeah, this was perfect. I just would love to learn about, how you caught that ascending triangle to be able to catch those kind of patterns, and maybe just over time, more screen time, then I could see as I go and read the story to see. Because if I'm looking at this, like I start at 10 o'clock and I'm starting to, go through the tape. I'm trying to see in my mind, how do I form, that trend lines and patterns you've been drawing. Maybe I just have to, keep watching you do it more. And that's how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So some of these patterns, so in the, when I was teaching technical analysis, like way back, these sessions go back, probably a year ago. If you go back into the session recordings, they're all there. And I would suggest there are some on chart patterns.
Okay.
I definitely went over all of the triangles and wedges and hammers and stuff like that. I did that more for longer term traders. So most of that I was doing off of daily charts, but the patterns are still totally valid on an intraday chart, right? An ascending triangle is still an ascending triangle on whatever time frame you're looking at, right? So some of those sessions might be worth watching for you, just to get a better idea, of how to look to for those patterns and how they react and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for that, Kevin. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, I'll definitely go back and look for that. That'll be super helpful. Yeah, so this is good. This was one example is enough. Yeah, if I'll pause and let if somebody else has something they want to cover. Yeah.
Cool. You also mentioned Netflix. Yeah, Netflix was choppy.
I got in the morning too with that one, 9:35. Guess it broke some prior day highs.
Yeah, see, this one would scare me. So you traded this one, right?
Yeah, yes, I got in at 9:35 in the morning today.
Yeah.
Second candle. And I got out quick because I got a little nervous. Yeah, I pretty much sold in the next minute. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that. Oops. I don't blame you. Seeing a giant green candle like that, you should expect that they're going to come in and sell this. It's just too much, right? I mean, if you're in a 935, you're somewhere in this green candle. So let's say, I mean, you got in at like say 228, and within a minute, this goes from 228 to 231 on huge volume. Yeah, people are gonna traders are gonna just take that profit. You're gonna be, wow, I just got $3 out of this in less than a minute. I'm out of here. And it could never break that again, right? I think that was the high, or well, I mean, it spiked up there, but this was probably the high of the day, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it didn't, it tried to go up, it couldn't go back up there. So then they're selling it, right? Then they're looking for places to get short. You can see, I think you said you have VWAP on your charts, right?
Yeah, I got the VWAP. Yeah, I got 8 and 21, and then the VWAP. And I was going to ask you, is that a good starter set? And then I got a volume as well at the bottom. So hopefully day scalping is good.
I don't have any moving averages on my intraday charts. Or sorry, actually, that's not true. I do have some moving averages on, you can see a moving average here on my 5-minute chart. And I also have a moving average on my 65-minute chart. This moving average on the 65-minute chart, the purple line, it corresponds to a 5-day moving average. And I find that works fairly well. E-signal is a little funny. I can't put a 5-day moving average onto my main chart. E-signal always does periods, right? So if this is a 2-minute chart and I want a 5-day moving average, it's going to give me a 5-period moving average, right? So it's going to be 5 2-minute bars. So that's why I've sort of moved some of the moving averages off onto other charts, because I don't change the time frame on these other ones. I only change the time frame on the middle one.
What's your thoughts, Kevin, on TrendSpider? I'm trying out their trial for charting it. Are they good as well? I also have TOS, but trying another one, or just stick with TradingView. Maybe it might be the right.
Yeah, that's the one with the raindrop candles, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
With the candles that kind of they're all sort of weirdly shaped, and the shape sort of denotes where the volume was being done.
Yeah, I can share my screen maybe to show you how I got my trends spider. Want to see?
Yeah, I can, let's see, can I let you? All right, so I'm going to make you a co-host, and you should be able to share your screen. I wonder if I have to. So do you see a share button there?
Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. Yeah. So now, okay. So yeah, you able to see? Okay.
Yeah. Hang on. I think. No, I'll look at it over here on the screen I'm recording on.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, you're not using the raindrops.
Yeah, just get my normal. I'm still trying to, get comfortable with the platform, but I
Yeah.
thought this whole Ripster cloud was kind of cool. It's a 8 and 21 that I've
Right.
got going here. I do like the zooming, with the mouse wheels kind of cool, but they've got you want to do some fib stuff, get the fib thingy there. Trends, you just hit the button, they'll do some trend stuff for you. And you've got a lot of their fancy, indicators here. They also have a lot of pretty cool education down in here too. But yeah, I'm still in the kind of learning mode with the tool still.
TrendSpider is not cheap either, though, is it?
Yeah, so I got like a Memorial Day thing, and I'm paying like 15 a month right now. So much sounds a little kind of pricey, right? Yeah, I'm not in there every day.
Well,
So
15 a month is pretty cheap.
Okay.
But I thought
Yeah.
their regular rate was fairly pricey.
Yeah, it's around 30. Yeah, I got them.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
what happens? Yeah, because they keep on saying, hey, I waited till the last minute. They're gonna say, like my cancel, and then the sales team is always trying to say, hey, if you stay, we'll cut you some slack. So I just waited to the last. That's
Yeah.
the kind of the trick with them. And then, so yeah, I do a yearly program. It might work out. Yeah, so I might try it out.
If you want a decent charting platform, I mean, you've got to pay some money. The other one you should look at probably is Trader View or Trading View. Sorry.
Okay.
But over there, if you're going to be scalping, you probably want to be paying for data as well, and that's going to add some cost to you, because the data you get for free for intraday isn't super clean. So you could be trading off as sort of false signals.
Okay. Oh, good point. Yeah. I'll make sure that I got the.
Yeah, but this looks nice. I mean, it's nice and clean. It's a nice looking platform.
Okay, cool. All right. Thank you, sir, for that. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll pass it back to you. Yeah, good stuff, man. Yeah, good session today.
Yeah, so I'll go back to the screen I was sharing. So was there anything else you wanted to show me in Netflix? I can kind of tell that you probably had trouble in this one.
Yeah. I got nervous quick, so I got out fast. Yeah, I just didn't have wasn't ballsy enough. So, but I think.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Hang on, this sharing isn't happening properly. There we go. Got it back. Good.
Yeah. So I'm gonna probably focus on your, I like your weekly commentary. I want to go back to more quality plays and look at your watch list and maybe hang out more in the chat room, because I'm still trying to figure out where to put my focus and to even build a strategy still.
Yeah, it sounds to me you'll definitely like the short-term trading room or channel. that one will suit you really well. And feel free to ask me any questions or whatever, or, point something out on a chart, or post a screenshot of a chart. And we all learn from each other too. So yeah, nice to, it'll be nice to have you in there with us.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Kevin. Yeah, you've always been a great mentor. I realized that just going back through my chats, you helped me even like before COVID. I was just reviewing, and yeah, man, you've always been very helpful. So yeah.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. All right, I'm gonna shut this down now. I just want to look at the calendar moving forward. So next, obviously, I'll be doing the weekend briefings. Next Thursday, I'm going to be doing a session on options. We're going to look at how you can, if you've got, like, say you've got calls on something that has earnings, and it shoots up a ton in the after hours, but you can't do anything with your calls. If you see it start to pull back, you can't sell your calls in the after hours. How do you deal with that? Well, there is definitely a way that you can lock in your profit in the after hours, and I'll give you a hint. It's by shorting stock, but when you got to do it right though. So come check out this session if that's something you do. If you play calls, for earnings or puts for earnings. You will definitely enjoy this session because it's a great way to lock in those profits, because oftentimes that profit all disappears overnight. So something I like to do when I play that, I like to lock in profit on some of it. So we'll go into that on next Thursday, and then we'll do the following 2 Thursdays. We've got a couple of ticker talks coming up. And again, if anybody has a problem with us changing to Wednesdays, and also doing a little bit of market briefing to start out the ticker talk, or if you have any ideas and suggestions, definitely let me know, please. And that's about it. Hope you've enjoyed this, and we will see you all on the Discord. Thanks, guys.